What up, what up, what up, wherever you are, Milwaukee, Chicago, New York, Philly, wherever you watching, I'm Kwabena Antoine Nixon, poet, writer, speaker, and you are here with us at a private location in the city of Milwaukee. If you was a member, I'll tell you, but you don't have to be a member, I'm gonna tell you because I do want you to become a member. We are at Lee Alexander's private cigar lounge in the city of Milwaukee, located at a certain place. If you want to find out, drop something in the comments. You could become a member and we'll tell you about it. I'm your host today, and guess what? We are here, Black on Purpose. What is Black on Purpose? The name speaks for itself, but let me give you a little background. What is Black on Purpose? Spoken word, live conversations, podcasts, a safe space for black men to be black men, unapologetically. No code switching, no worrying about who's in the room. Whatever we are saying, we are keeping here, and it's going to be out there for the world to see. So if you out there, tune in now. As I just told my good brother, G, it's like our real men, real talk we have, except we have an adult libation or beverage or whichever one you can. We have good cigars. I got me a nice one today. I'm going to go around the room, the brothers, as they talk. They'll tell you about the cigars. So with that being said, man, we're going to get this up. So let's give a big round of applause for being Black on Purpose today, y'all. There we go. Can we get a oh? And just to get started, man, you know, it's Black on Purpose. We're going to have conversations. There's a major, major shift in our country. I would almost say in the world. I hate to say this, and I mean when I say I hate to say this, but the next 4 years could shape the very future and foundation that we know as a country. And I think if it shapes our country, it shapes the world. I was a big fan of The Wire back in the day. Did anybody in here watch The Wire? Yes, sir. And one of the great things about The Wire, the writing, they showed how it was connected from the little guy on the corner with a rock all the way to the politician in D.C. It was connected. So I think everything is connected, and the conversation today is going to talk about that. But in the meantime, in between time, several things we got to do. One, let's do this real quick. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. We lost a great one, and Quincy Jones. Yes, sir. And our good brother Mike is in the 50 club now. Oh! Let's toast up to Mike, man. Happy 50, King. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. And thank you for all your service over the years, good brother. Man, appreciate it. And welcome to the club. Stay a while, man. And I got my brother here, man. I don't introduce everybody, but I'm going to introduce my brother. I got my man. We go way, way back. Phenomenal educator. And he has moved down to Nashville and went down there and set a blazing trail as an educator, as a community person. I had the privilege of going to sit with him when he did, I'll let him tell it later, but I think it's books, dads and fathers and books.
Fatherhood Friday.
Fatherhood Friday. Man, this is amazing. He brings fathers in, African drumming. They got books, they got authors, and they read to the students. This is an amazing sight. So my good brother's in the building. Doctor, and I say this, not friend, but doctor. He is Dr. Michael Pratt. Show some love, man. Tariq. And last but not least, my good brother Ishmael is back in the building. I'm glad to see you. Yes, man, Ish, I know your health was in different places, man, but, man, yeah, that's why, man, listen, King, look. We are of age now, man, and this is very serious. So just to see you back in the building, no doubt. And last but not least, Mr. Garland Smith, thank you for giving this place up to us, man. Let's show some love. So with that being said, fam, Black on Purpose, man, listen, the disclaimer is we are not here to promote any candidate. We are not here to destroy any candidate, but we are here as... We are here as you got a rim snare from me. You might want to put your seatbelt on for this one today, man. But we are here as black men. And you know, this for me, when we gather like this, it means something because I've always been big on brotherhood, and brotherhood means something to me. So just the fact that we can all sit like this, politic, conversate. Brothers who have been attending these sessions inbox me or text me the next day like, man, I just needed to be in that room. Like, I didn't even want to, if I didn't speak quiet, it was cool. It was just good being in that room. So, man, I'm glad we all here, man. We're going to enjoy. We're going to have a conversation. We have bourbon and scotch. Most of us have scotch, some have bourbon. Pick and choose. All right. So, family, there's a lot going on in the world, and right here in America, we are in Milwaukee, but in America, we just had an election. Shout out again to my brother G. Over a month, I think we had to do at least 12 events.
At least.
Right? And at least 4 to 5 of them, at least, more, I would think more at your shop.
At my shop, man, it had to be over 8.
We did over 8 events at the shop. And various people in this room got out and did their part in the election. In January, a new president or a returning president is going to walk into the White House. The conversation I want us to have, I'm not going to be for nor against. I just want to move us through. But this is what I will ask. Be as open as possible about how you feel about different things. So my setup goes this way. I was watching when 45, he first came president, Saturday Night Live did a skit with Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock. And they were sitting in the room and they were watching their results. And each time at 7 o'clock, it was Dave Chappelle and several white counterparts. And they were saying, oh, this is going to be great. We're finna get ready to have our first woman president. So, at this time, Hillary was running. And Dave Chappelle, being who Dave Chappelle was like, I don't know about that one. They was like, there's no way. There's no way he's going to win. So the progression each time as you watched, Hillary was losing more states and Trump was winning more states. And so the white people in the room were saying stuff like, well, he's going to win Wisconsin because Wisconsin, there are no races in Wisconsin. And Dave Chappelle said, well, guess we all go to Green Bay, right? And then as it progressed, he started winning other states. And then Chris Rock comes in the room. And finally, they announced Trump the winner. And the 4 to 5 white people that were in the room said, oh my God, this just reveals or uncovers that the country is racist. I can't believe that this country is racist. And Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock said, you don't say. I said all that to say we were shocked the first time it happened. And people were like, oh my God, how could this happen? Well, now we are turning back to what we thought we were going to make history. Now there's a certain thing of history repeating itself. The person that was in office when he lost decided to tell people to rush the Capitol. The Black Panthers came to the Capitol in Sacramento, California, armed. Not one person was hurt. There was no unrest. I guess you would call that a peaceful protest. Nobody was shot. They did brandish guns, but they showed their amendment rights, and they spoke, and they moved on. In January, on a particular day, it was unrest like never seen before. It was applauded, and now those people who were involved are in prison, but they're not in the prison that we would know the sense of prison if you were a black man in America. Family, the conversation is about what happens now. Because we can go, and I'm not trying to direct it anywhere. We can talk about X, Y, Z, but on January of a certain day of the year 2025, he'll walk in office. And if I'm right, they have the Senate. Am I correct? And have the Congress. And he has the power to appoint and do things, Supreme Court. So right now, I'm going to ask you guys around this room, and you can introduce yourself as we go. First thing I want to ask you, I laugh because I have to ask it. Was anyone surprised about the results of the election? Why or why not? Anybody was surprised? Go ahead. Here's some mic. Would you pass that mic over? Were you surprised at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me why. Say your name.
Yeah, Don Johnson, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 414 all day.
Okay, gang bang, gang bang. Go ahead.
Honestly speaking, Kwa, I was surprised. As I look around the room, I'm on the little younger side of gentlemen in here, and I think everybody in my generation was sold hope.
Generation meaning what generation was that?
I'm 36. So that I
So
think I
you
fall
under
into.
a bit. You after the baby boomers.
I'm after the baby. After
You're
the
a
baby
millennial.
boomers. I think millennials.
You're a millennial, somewhere a millennial.
But I'm still old enough. I had a tape deck. You know what I'm saying? I had a Walkman. You know what I'm saying? So, but honestly speaking, and I shared this with some students the other day. I'm in education as well, and so I look at the coming years differently. My educational pursuits or my career actually falls under the DEI umbrella. And so for me, I was scared because I had hope. You know, I said that in 2016 we were thrown off guard, but there's no way possible the country I love and the country I grew up in wants this.
This meaning what?
The hate.
The hate?
The hate that came. The hate and the fear that was fueled and spread through the election. Just watching CNN, watching MSNBC, watching local news. It was a very different political season in the sense of you didn't hear, oh, this candidate was bad for this reason, this candidate was bad for this reason. It was fear mongering in our country. Fear mongering and truth bending. And for me, as a person with a little bit of sense, I was shocked. I truly was shocked because the first time we didn't know what was coming.
Right.
But we saw what happened, and for me, I was shocked because for me, 45 is always reduced to the pandemic. Like his presidency is reduced to the pandemic.
It ties in there.
People forget, like 2016 to 2019, black men weren't safe. The KKK was running around here doing all kind of stuff with little to regard for any safety.
So let me ask you this, and then anybody else you can chime in. So let me ask you this. You're saying during that time, you said you lost hope. So did that, him being elected again with the results, did that change? Did that bring those images and thoughts back?
It made them worse because for me, like I said, you said it before, we didn't know what was coming in 2016. Not only did we know what's coming this time, but then they told us with Project 2025 and Project America and all these other
all the warnings,
all the initiatives that they're running. This information was out, so I was scared and I was shocked to know that the country wants this, and to know that every time in the dynamic in the population of people, especially in my field, you look at the makeup of how he got to the White House, and then you look at education and those numbers line up. So when
it matches.
That matches. So when I'm walking in the hallways, that lets me know that 1 out of every 2 people don't think I should be here. Or that 1 every 2 people don't think our baby should be here. Because I work in the school district with 90,000 kids, and 90% of them are black and brown.
So let me ask you this. Let's give my brother a hand, please. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I would say,
Go ahead, G. Go ahead.
I would definitely say I was surprised, and I'm gonna be honest, I was shocked. I honestly was. And it's wild that I could be shocked twice, man. Like I was shocked when he beat when the first time. I was surprised then. This time I was more shocked because, really, to be honest with you, I felt that every single time he was in front of a camera, in front of a mic, he was killing himself, man. He was killing himself. I mean, bro, he was literally spreading hate. He was not ever, I don't know why he ever had a teleprompter in front of him. He never followed the teleprompter. I don't know why he had a campaign manager. He had to be pissing them off all the time. You know, but to see him actually still, and then he was up against, I'm not even gonna say arguably, he was up against the most qualified person, man or woman, to ever run for the presidency.
Can everybody agree
Ever.
or agree to that close to, I mean, based on him and her, because as we always say, if I can go, let me jump in, G. If I can go to the Obama campaign, remember, Obama had to be first in class. Obama had to be this. He had to go to Harvard. He had to go this. He had to speak well. He had to be married. And all the other candidates have to do is basically sometimes be white and male. So here is Kamala, right? Senator, right? DA.
Every level.
Every level, if you put
level.
resume to resume.
And vice president.
Right, vice president. If you put so you're saying if you put resume to resume, it's not even
it's
close.
unmatched.
Okay.
It's unmatched. No comparison whatsoever. So
Okay.
that even add a little bit more surprise to me,
Okay. Right.
to the whole situation, if you will.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Rich. We'll go here to Mike, and then we'll go to Rich. And why they doing it? I want you to think of that too. What he said about every other person that he saw in there says that they don't care about the children or the people. Go ahead, Mike.
I wasn't surprised that she lost. What surprised me is how bad she lost. That's what really shocked me. I did not expect that at all. I expected it to be a lot closer. I still expected him to win because I saw the direction of the people in this country. Basically, they just drank the Kool-Aid. And no matter what this dude was saying, they were going to vote for him regardless because let's just put it like this. This country was not going to elect a black woman to lead this country.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Does that mean when you said the direction of where it was going?
Yes.
When you speak on that as you answer it, what do you mean about the direction it was going?
I mean, because like G said, every time this dude got on TV, in a debate and said something, it was like it was a clown show.
They're eating dogs. No, I'm just playing.
It was everything he said. That's stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. Now imagine if she would have said anything like that. And here's another side note, just to get off subject for a minute. I just learned this the other day. Guess what Inauguration Day is?
January 20th, Dr. King.
Dr. King Day.
Is that irony or that symbol? Man. All right, on that day. It's disrespect. Go ahead, Rich, and then we'll go to Linnell.
So I share Mike's sentiment. I was surprised at the margin that he won.
Because it's a landslide.
It was a landslide, and I'm talking he swept pretty much every state that he was not supposed to win. And on top of that, he's the first Republican since Reagan to actually win the popular vote in addition to the Electoral College. So, I mean, to win the popular vote to the degree that he won the popular vote, it is probably more impressive that he won the popular vote the way that he did than anything else. I mean, the Republicans are always going to steal the Electoral College. That's just the way that's set up. But how he won the popular vote to that level, man, was crazy. So that's what surprised me. What's scary coming of this, though, is there is, I believe that there's a fear on our white brothers and sisters side that they're going to lose the majority of population. So they got to put everything in place to maintain rule. So they're going to do it through policy. And so if nothing else, you got to respect the gangster of all these folks because they've been playing the long game. And the Democrats really got to, at some point, I know, well, this ain't a nonpartisan conversation. It's a real conversation.
No, you're good.
At some point, the Democrats got to realize. So, when you grow up on the block, we understand on the block sometimes a fight must occur in order for us to resolve the problem.
Yeah, there's no way around.
The Democrats don't want to ever fight. They want to keep on loving and hugging. At some time, you got to swing first. You got to slap the shit out of somebody. At some point, a slapping the shit out of somebody is required in order to get the answers that you're looking for. And the Dems don't want to do it. And the Republicans been slapping the shit out of the Democrats for at least the last damn near 20 years. It started with the Freedom Party, then the Tea Party, and now it's escalated to MAGA.
And MAGA. And, go ahead. Here, go here. Let me go here because he had his hand up, and then it's over there. Let's go over here with Tark. Rich stated that the population, right there. So the conversation he having, for those that's listening, I heard a white man state that they voted for Trump because he's the last of what they look like. In so many years, based on biracial, based on meetings, what the world population will look like, the white man that was in 1955, the pure, quote unquote, that they say pure, it'll be X'd out. He's the last. This is what they were saying. This is the last of his hope. We'll go to you. I'll go to Mark, and then come up. Go ahead. Why or why not?
I was going to say that I think in 1867 or 1870, women, black men got the right to vote, right? So it's just amazing to me. I didn't think that America was ready to have a female president because if you are in power and you give your slaves, your former slave, the right to vote before you give your daughter or your woman who's laying next to you right to vote. White women didn't get the right to vote until 1920. So it's just, it's based on patriarchy. It's based on a Western mindset, that views women in a certain way. So I just thought from that perspective, it was going to be difficult for any woman to win.
A friend of mine who works for a certain, as we pass it over, Mark. A friend of mine, Tark, stay here for a second. A friend of mine that works for a certain paper, she said that white women, this is what she said. I'm going to paraphrase it the best way I can right now. She said that white women said, according to, she said that they were like, yeah, he misogynist. Yeah, he did X, Y, Z. And yeah, he doesn't treat us as equal. However, if it's going to be a president, it's not going to be a black woman before it's a white woman. We like her, but we didn't vote for Hillary, so we not voting for her. Does that break into where you were saying about the slave owner, right? It's going to be a president, but it's not going to be the daughters of the generations that we enslaved before one of our daughters.
Yeah, I think the law sets up the precedent of men who are slaves vote before women vote. So I mean, it's a hierarchy that's been set up, and that's just the way it is. So I mean, that's just the way it's been started. So it's hard to how you get past that. You know, people don't necessarily want to deal with that.
Right. So you're saying you didn't see it either way. You're not surprised just on the setup of how it was the traditions, the patriarch, the white male, etc. This is what it is. Okay. Yeah. Go to Mark. Pass it to my good brother over there, and then we'll come to you, Linnell. Go ahead, Mark. Were you surprised or not?
Hell no. I mean,
even with all the work that was done. Listen, the conversations, the debates, the knock and drops, the quote unquote that the country is moving into a certain direction. Her qualifications, everything. No surprise.
my reality, hell no. Still the same. This is America. This
Meaning?
is the land we live in of a white society. We've never been equal. We will never be equal. We will continue to fight for some equality. That's just my reality. So I had hope. I didn't watch the states. I didn't watch none of that because my reality, this is America. We wasn't finna have a black female president before a white female president. You know, they didn't give Hillary that, so I just, you know, my reality, that's just my reality. I had hope. I could have prayed.
Right.
But I had no hope. You know what I'm saying?
Right, no, I get you.
The reality is I really had no hope. I didn't trip. I did my part of voting for the best candidate who I thought should have been with all of that. But just the reality, man, this is America, man.
And so before I go to Mark, before I go to Linnell, when you said this is America, and anybody can chime in, when you say this is America, as black men, we have remember Ice Cube back in the day, America, right?
Exactly.
Right? When we say this is America, right, what do you mean? Give me, however you break it down, give me what you mean this is America. From your black man perspective, born, raised, Milwaukee, everything you've been through.
Born and raised in the most segregated city. The reality going to suburban Wauwatosa West schools and seeing hand on hand first American racisms taught down in the home at an early age. This is America, man. Just like Cube says it. When I say America, I put KKK in there. I don't put it with that's my truth.
Same here.
My freedom of speech. My reality is we will continue to keep fighting for justice. We will continue to keep fighting for trying to be equal. But even though the conversation we need to have is how can we get together and build our own community? Garveyism. I'm on some Garveyism type shit.
Okay.
That's my reality.
Okay.
That's my truth. Or, you know, something that we can build. You know, every other culture, every other race has inner growth, passing of the buck. Let's build. Let's get unity. That's what I'm here for.
All right.
That's what I love.
Give him a hand. And we're going to talk on that. Give him a hand. I appreciate that. Oh, go ahead, King, and then we'll go Linnell. And as he said, this is America. I saw several of you nod your head, Linnell. I want you to speak on that. Go ahead, King. Say your name, family, and what you do.
It's Jamie.
Speaking to the mic just a little bit.
It's Jamie. I'm a nurse practitioner and real estate investor.
You can hear?
From Florida. I'm up here, traveling assignment, working currently. We literally, as we sit here in the middle of a change.
Speak a little louder, man.
We literally, as I sit here, in the middle of the change of two worlds. One ending and one beginning. 50% of all children in the first grade are children of color. Patrick Buchanan wrote a book called The Death of the West, where he spoke about how there's more coffins than there are actual cradles among the European people. The greatest fear that they have as it relates to our people is genetic annihilation. As I walk into Waupun Correctional Facility,
Let me say this for those who don't know. Waupun that's in Green Bay. I mean, am I right? That's in Waupun.
Yeah.
That's here. That's a correctional facility. I just want to get that a very clear statement.
As I walk through Waupun Correctional Facility, I see that 90% of the men that are incarcerated look like me, and I'm the only thing standing between a cell that actually gives them hope. As I catch hell working among them, and I say to myself, "Oh, damn, if I'm catching hell working among them, I wonder how they are treating them."
Come on.
And so for me, I told somebody, asked me, "How do you like Milwaukee?" I said, "I like the segregation." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Because it forces us to work together in a way otherwise we wouldn't."
I gotta give a hand for that, please.
Otherwise we wouldn't. The way I think about the election, I feel like sometimes these wise people that operate behind the scenes like to play on the emotions of our people by giving us the illusion of change.
Hold on.
The illusion of
What's
change.
the illusion of change?
Continuing to still give you hope. As long as, I'm just being straight up honest.
Please do.
As long as we live with them, we will live under them. So until we actually make up our mind to do something for ourselves, we will never be respected by no civilized group of people to be found anywhere on the earth. You know, instead of us complaining about a narrative that they push into our children in the school, we have between $2 to $3 trillion a year running through our hands. 99%. I heard a brother say, we blame white people for 95% of our problems, but yet share 99% of our dollars. So I feel like ultimately, when we came out of slavery, we had over 60 towns.
Yes, we did.
We were very highly, despite our circumstances, we developed the Harlem Renaissance. A sort of creativity came out of our pain, and we became unrecognizable to. We only resemble people of color around the earth only in terms of color, but outside of that, we became extremely creative and starting whole new renaissance and revolutions inside of America. Even to you now, you have black people in India saying that they were members of the Black Panther Party. I'll say this and I'll pass the mic. One of the things that when I met you here tonight and you wanted to go by me, you said, "Excuse me, King."
Yes, sir.
One of the most powerful things to create unity is language.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that they can break you down is with language. In the
Yes, sir.
60s, in the 50s and the 60s, they used to have Black Journal. In the 50s and the 60s, they had Black Panther Party, or you had my man saying, "I'm black and I'm proud." See, when you say that I'm black and I'm proud, then that break down artificial barriers in terms of how you see yourself, so a black man in America can feel the pain of a black man in Africa.
That's right.
Or the black man in Africa can actually feel the pain of a black man in America. So I feel like with language, you can create a sort of a universal nervous system where you begin to be sensitive to the pain of your people all over the earth.
Come on.
But then when the language began to change, I'm an African American. I'm a Negro, I'm this, that, and the third, then that creates a barrier, that creates a sense of division where you're not empathetic. Now, I'm a GD, I'm a BD, I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood. All these differences
These tribes, yeah.
or artificially break us down. And so I think that ultimately, me personally, I think that we all we got, and ultimately, it's gonna either be us, our generation, or the generations to come to solve this problem. And ultimately, there's nowhere in history what we've ever found in the oppressor actually freed the people they actually oppressed.
Come on, man. Give my man a hand, please. Stay with that. Okay? Look, so good brother stated, I want to, because what I got a sentiment. Wait, Linnell, did you want to chime in? Or Renell? Did you want to?
Go to the next question.
Okay. My brother takes us into the next question, but also what I heard around this room, if I'm right, what I really heard around this room was like, we had faith, we had hope that it would change. Almost a blind hope. But then we had a reality like, this is what it's been. It's almost like the day we watched the Rodney King verdict, right? We saw it, we knew it, and they were going, oh, they're going to find him guilty, but most of us was like, no, they're not. This is what we know. They say it's a Dr. Joy DeGruy book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. She say, we give a learned helplessness. We can't win this fight. No matter how it go, we can't win, right? It takes us, my man gave a great layout of identifying each other, right? There was a lot of conversations of the generations. Generation X, baby boomers. Baby boomers look at the millennials and the younger, y'all out of control, y'all lost. Generation X, we kind of look at the baby boomers, you know, y'all in our way. If I can, am I okay to say that sometimes? Like, you're not letting me advance, right? And then the last generation is like, I don't care neither way. I'm worried about where I'm at, and this is how I'm dealing with it, right? It says, and Linnell, I'm glad he said pass it, but I put a stat out on Facebook. I just put a quiet stat, said, will you, why or why not Kamala? We found out a lot of stuff about our friends and brothers, right? Yeah, we found a lot. I was blind to misogyny. I was blind to the feelings that some of our people, men, had about voting, and sisters, but people, period. My next question is, what were you hearing from other black men about the election before November 5th? Let me roll my sleeves up. Let me roll my sleeves up. Because as you, in answer, but King said it best. He said, when you say black, there's an empathy. I can lock in with Nigeria. I can lock in with Chicago, right? But when we start saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I don't empathize with your pain, right? So it says, what were you hearing from other black men about the election before November 5th? Please open up. Go ahead, Renell.
I'm gonna kick it off.
Say your name, please.
To my brothers in the room, Renell from Milwaukee. I had some strong feelings about how this outcome came out because, like Brother Don, I'm a millennial as well, and of course you hear the barbershop talk. Mm-hmm. Of course you hear it amongst your family, mm-hmm. Your loved ones, and just to kind of connect the dots from the previous question, Kamala had way more votes than Hillary Clinton had in 2016. They both had an uphill battle where the people that they were closest connected to, Hillary to her husband, who helped write the crime bill and had that, was one of the things that came forth, and I feel like that's what prevented her from winning.
From Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, of course, a lot of the narrative was Kamala locked up men in her former role in California. Mm-hmm. So them trying to run their own campaign, they had these old ghosts and skeletons in the closet that they had a tough battle to try to overcome to win their respective presidencies. The other thing was, despite some of the policy that she brought forth that was going to allow more opportunity for black men and other people, for some reason, as we now have access to more technology, this rhetoric of the same old was just going to continue to be used.
What was that rhetoric? Because I know it, but I want us in the room.
Yeah.
What was some of the rhetoric in that narrative?
You know, man, she a DA. She always a DA. I can't vote for her because she's a DA and she's just known for locking people up. Mm-hmm. That's all she did in California was lock people up. She want to legalize marijuana, but she was locking people up in California for petty marijuana and all these other things that they were saying. So you couldn't even change some minds And then it was like 45 had aligned affinity stones, a white man, when he got Elon and Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
who one got all the money in the world,
Yeah.
and then two, he got one of the largest podcasting platforms where he could control the narrative. So up until then, she probably would have won until them two came aboard in her campaign. The other thing too, she had 100 days plus to run the campaign. She didn't have a full time, so she just had a lot against her.
Which, can I say this?
Yeah.
For 90 days.
Yeah.
For 100 days to do that, right?
Yep.
That's an amazing piece.
Yep. And then the other thing too, the sheer economics. You know, some just didn't feel like she was gonna make the country an economic haven like it once was. So I heard a lot of bad.
You put the bunny ears. I saw the bunny.
When was America ever great for black people
And you deal
to
with numbers.
run a business?
And I'm saying, and you deal with numbers. Am I right?
Yeah, I work with a lot of business owners.
So when
there's
they-
a narrative. There's a
Yes.
narrative that in 2020, that business for entrepreneurs was better in 2020. That during the
According,
pandemic,
yeah, I've heard the narrative.
we was in a global pandemic, but business was better then than it is now.
Right.
But we was all in the house.
Right.
So, you know, again, the short term, like, that's the first time I ever got grants.
You're right.
But those grants came because under Trump's watch, God rest our brother's soul, George Floyd was murdered. You
Talk
had
to him.
Ahmaud Arbery was also
Talk to him.
murdered that year.
It was a
You had
perfect storm.
You had all these instances of police brutality where those with resources was feeling bad, and they wanted to make sure black people was on their side still. So you had all these different puddles and these corporations and these nonprofits where they were like, well, why you ain't talking to me no more?
Right.
And am I okay to still be your friend? And, you know, all of the
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that
yeah.
you talked about D&I, you know, everybody wanted to make sure that we could still, you know, be locking arms and singing, you know,
Kumbaya.
the national anthem, and still feel like America's a great place for everybody when we all know it's not. So, like my brother said over here, there's a tale of two Americas. We knew it before 2024. You had those with resources and those with money, and then you got it for everybody else. So the justice system never was beneficial to us, and the economic system wasn't either.
Go ahead. The narrative. Give him please give him a hand. Show some love.
word.
And I'll come to you, Ish. I see you over here. Let's go to Linnell. Again, with that whole thing, what were you hearing? Renell, thank you so much for breaking it down. And I know Renell works with numbers. So that whole narrative again, she was a DA. I saw you nod your head to that mic. She was locking brothers up. What's some other things you heard post-election?
Well,
Pre-election, I'm sorry.
I'll piggyback off Ronell. I'm Linnell, but I heard the same thing, in particular around the money side, right? Like, I was better off when Trump.
Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah.
I just want to, because we going around the narrative. When I want us to have a real conversation, did anybody else hear that narrative? We were better under Trump. All right, go ahead. Yes.
But here, giving out checks, right?
We signed out
But
checks.
I think, again, the flip side of that, people don't even talk about what he inherited from a financial situation when Barack Obama was in office. Just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers that he inherited, which made his economy look a certain way. Add the pandemic, quiet storm on success, right? I want to go back to also the question you mentioned about hope. And I know we talked about a lot. You said, I forgot the question, but here's what gave us hope. When Barack Obama did become president, there was a feeling that, okay, maybe minimally, y'all see we can do the work. Now let us do the work.
Minimally, you said.
Minimally, right? Like
okay.
minimally.
This much.
But then you add the layer of, we look at what happened with George Floyd, Brother George Floyd, rest in peace. The fact that with the way the streets look and the shutdown, there was all colors. And now they gave another sense of hope, like, y'all get it? There's no way we can go back and have this dude come back in office. So there was this. So when we had these conversations, whether Vice President Harris should be president, the things I was hearing, one, it blew my mind because it wasn't factual.
Right.
Second, this whole ideology around, well, my pockets look better. Well, your pockets look better only because guess what? It was a perfect storm. Perfect situation. And I did hear, to be honest with you, and it wasn't a lot because when you look at the numbers, at the end of the day, I think it was, 87% of black folks. Because now we got to say black folks.
Yeah. As he said, we got to put that.
85% of black
Yes.
folks voted for Kamala. that's still we're not the region at the end of the day. Unfortunately, we jumped in a conversation we shouldn't have been in.
What's that?
The knocking her for her DA work. She had a job. She had a job. She's a district attorney.
You clap, give it up.
Right. Like she got voted
We having a
to do a job.
having a conversation.
But not only that, but Renell hit on it. No one talked about the program she created to let brothers out of jail either. Like, for somehow they kept getting hidden. So the conversation we were double dutching in and out of left out the real work she was doing when she was DA in California.
Does that go back to what my man said about narrative? What we gonna create? How do we create this hate? Let's spew this out here. Just get this out here
And then let it run.
and let it run.
Like, we were getting caught up more with Diddy than the actual election process. So, and for factual evidence, you're absolutely right. Like, to be disagreeing that one of the most qualified people ever to run for office had to argue why I'm qualified. Even here's another thing I heard. I'm sorry. She ain't really black.
Yeah. Okay. You already said what I was gonna say. Because
oh.
now you got to prove your before I let me say this. Who had it?
Over
Before I wait. You got to prove. So is that something? I know that's not the question, but I do want to throw this in this mix. Is that something we deal with as black men on a consistent basis? I still got to prove, no matter how degreed I am, no matter how I own my business, no matter what you do. You said, not only are you having a hard time working in the system, and you are qualified.
Right.
But now the prisoners even have it worse, right?
But before you do that, I'm going to get in the mic so you can hear him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this. You started this conversation with, we are not going to code switch.
No.
Everybody in this room walks every day thinking, oh, damn, what hat I got to wear today because of my color of my skin. So code switching becomes such a norm that when we do get done with it or get fed up with it, then, you show it. But we deal with it such on a regular basis. It's almost like it's like breathing air.
It's a part of our language.
It's just part of what we do. So you know when to turn it on, turn it off, and keep it moving, but not lose your authentic self, which they were questioning. Like when people say, they question VP Harris, she went to Howard, she was an AKA.
All that.
That wasn't even enough to talk about, like at least.
That's still not it. So you said, I went to Howard.
That ain't enough. That ain't enough.
AKA.
That ain't enough.
All right? I got, it still ain't enough. In Oakland, California.
Still gonna deal with all that.
Hey, pass the mic to him. Go ahead, Ish. Pass the mic to the king. I'm gonna go to your conversation. Go ahead, Ish.
What I heard, a couple things was that the angry white men have another crack at this. Another crack to show their hate. They get to bring out the hate. They get to take off the hoods now. Now it's live and it's in front of you. The second thing I heard was, we as black people, when are we gonna stop running behind parties that don't do anything for us? When will we come together and get an economic system amongst ourselves where we can be fluid within our communities? We too busy running somebody else's agenda that never appeases to anything we say, and they haven't for decades or longer. They don't really care about us. They just come to our community when it's vote time. They send out, and when we are the only people that are led by entertainers.
Go get Megan Thee Stallion. Go get
Man, but
so-and-so.
what other culture does that? You got people who entertain, dance, sing, or do whatever. They probably don't even have a platform where they can give a real political view, but it's popularity. But how are we gonna feed our kids? What happens when they cut stuff and we're not growing gardens, we're not growing food, we don't own farms, we don't have a base. If someone walks in our community, how will our wives, how will our children be protected? We gonna call the police, or the men gonna step up? What time do we stop playing these games, carrying a water, and we get ready to sit down as businessmen, we sit down as men, when we learn how to lock and load instead of shooting each other, we take it out on each other instead of taking it on the people who oppress us. What time will we stand up? What time will we stop following somebody else's carrot? That's what I heard the most, especially coming out of my community.
And your community being?
Muslims.
Muslim community, self-sufficient.
For the most part.
But I mean, within the realms of.
But the thing is that it's just not us. We're all black. When they round us all up, we niggas. rights. At the end of the day,
Simple
no matter
and
what
plain.
your political belief is, what your religious belief is, they will put us down on our knees side by side.
One way or the other. So when you're saying in the narrative that you heard mostly, it was again of why we listening, why we even involved, why. Not so much of should we, but why are we letting them do this to us?
Well, not that. When will we stand up? Not the why.
Okay, so when will we
With
stand
action.
up? Okay,
We need
okay.
action. We always asking why, and they give us whatever. We're always asking why, but that's whatever. When are we gonna take action?
Do you think it affected who went to the polls and who didn't go to the polls?
I think most people, out of habit, went to the polls in our generation. This was something that
Duty.
our generation
Duty.
was taught.
Yeah.
At least where I grew up at. And everyone may have had hope, but like I stated before, we know that this, and let me give you my personal opinion, I believe presidents are selected and not elected. He has a job to do. And whatever that is, if that's to change the government as we see it nationally, because if you look at the economics, U.S. is in deep trouble. All of a sudden, when you win, the stock market go up, this goes up, the oil changes, the gold goes up, you know, all these different, gold goes down.
Bitcoin's up.
You know, so the thing is, this is about global economics. It's not about a Republican or a Democrat, because when the lights go off, they sit in the same club. They eating at the
They
same
having the same
places.
conversations. They taking the
They're
same
talking
pictures.
to each other. Now, when the lights come on, it's a performance. But and at that aspect, none of them have ever addressed the real need. Everyone can get a hate crime bill except for us.
And you're referring to the Asians who just got the hate
Yes.
crime bill? No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
we're referring to them. Okay, let's give Ishmael a hand, please. Look, King, keep it up. So, did you have? Yeah, we'll go to you. Go ahead, King, and we'll come to you.
When he made that point, he just kind of.
Is everybody cool? We good where we at? Thank you.
When he made that point, it's just kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, you made that point. It was kind of like a emotional trigger for me. I been here about 2 months. Within
In Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee.
Okay.
Within a 30-day span, I got pulled over 7 times.
Say that again, please, man. You've been here 2 months.
Yeah.
And what's your profession?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
You've been here 2 months. You got pulled over how many times?
7 times.
7 times.
I got pulled over, and the cop said that I was speeding. So, number one, I already understand that they have been conditioned to see us as a criminal. So my whole posture in dealing with a police officer is to put myself in a way to completely disarm them. I don't argue with them nor try to have court on the side of the road. And so, you know, he come up to my car, license and registration. Yes, sir. But before I reach for my license and registration, do I have your permission to turn on the light? Yes, sir. You can do that. Where you just coming from? Oh, I'm coming from church. That's what I told him. I'm coming from church. Then he said, my plates say Colorado, because I was in Colorado for about a year before I came in working. So I showed him my badge. He say, okay, let me just check your license information. Then he looked at me after seeing my badge and says, "You're not a fugitive, are you? You're not wanted, are you?" And so I told my coworkers at work about it, and white women at work told me, he said, "Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you were white, they would have never asked me that question."
Wow, don't say.
And so, much of what is being said is real. I feel it. Man, it's hard, man, because I ran from the prison system because every time I looked in that cell, I saw myself on the other side of it. You know, to see our brothers strapped down on a piece of metal, probably from where G is sitting to him, strapped down like almost in the angle of a cross, butt naked with a towel around the area of their penis, because they want to kill themselves because of the atrocious conditions there, and no one really give a damn whether they live or die. So to me, he triggered something. I ain't mean to interrupt.
You okay?
He really like triggered something for me, and that's all I really want.
First off, give him a hand.